So this video is going to show you how to sync your School Loop with Google Classroom, import your assignments from Google Classroom, and the grades you've already inputted. Now, I strongly suggest you watch this whole video before you actually start doing this with your own account, because there's a couple little funny things that you'll discover by the end of this video that might change how you approach this. So, for example, I'm sure most people don't remember this, but at the end of last year when we started doing these syncings, some students wouldn't sync. So here you can see I've synced all my assignments for this class already, and I've imported all my grades. These two assignments were not yet graded, that's why there's no grades. But you'll see these two students at the top, their grades didn't import for any assignment. That was a weird little hiccup that we found last year when we did this for the first time. So if you have a lot of students where this is happening, you might find it's just easier for you to just enter your grades in by hand and maybe not do the syncing at all. So like I said, watch this whole video, then decide how you want to approach things. So step one in syncing is you're going to come to the homepage of School Loop and you're going to click Set Up Assignment Syncing. Once you've done that, for you, none of these will be linked. For me, I've already been setting some of my classrooms back up. So I've got this fifth period one, it's not linked yet. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go down to fifth period, so these two should match. This is my School Loop one, and this is my Google Classroom. Now, the first time that you do this, when you scroll down, both of these two boxes will be checked. You actually want to uncheck the second one because you don't want to invite your students to join your Google class. They already are joined. So if they get this message out of nowhere that they should come and join, it's going to confuse them. So instead, just auto import assignments to School Loop from Google Classroom. Syncing occurs every 5 minutes. That's important for later. I'll revisit that. Default category for imported assignments. You can only have one default category. So most of my assignments, or most of the assignments that I have posted are not exams, they are just assignments. So I selected this, but let's say most of your grades are quizzes or tests, you could select something else. But what this means is when I go to sync everything, anything that's an exam, I will have to edit in School Loop afterwards to change the category from assignment to exam. So pick whatever default you want and then make sure this second box is not checked and then press submit. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our classes and we're going to go to our fifth period and I'm going to go over here to classwork. Now, this is a little bit tricky. So the way that the syncing works is that any assignment that is set for a future date, so you see I have these two right here, those will automatically populate back here in my portal when I go to my gradebook for fifth period. Now, keep in mind, right now it looks blank because it says it syncs once every 5 minutes. So you've got to be patient to see the first couple assignments populate. But basically, these two will populate because they're set for a future date, whereas all of these other ones that are in the past, they're not going to automatically populate. So I'm going to teach you a trick on how to get those guys to populate for you. So what I'm going to do, and you can do it from the grades screen or from this screen, I just prefer the grades screen. I'm going to click on grades, and essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to trick School Loop into importing my past assignments that have been graded by setting them for a future date. So this is set for August 14th. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it. I'm going to say that this actually is going to occur September 14th. By keeping the day itself the same, it will help me remember what it was prior to the change when I go to reset all these back to their original dates. So I'm going to click save on that. And then I'm going to go through and do that on all the assignments that I have grades for that I want transferred over. So again, this is August 14th. I'm going to update this to be September 14th. This actually, it seems like this would take a while to do. I actually did one entire class period of this while my students were working something in class in under an hour. So click save. I wasn't even giving this my full attention when I was doing it, so it's pretty mindless. So again, edit, and then you just keep repeating this for all of the assignments that you want transferred. So I'm going to go the 14th of September. Now, I actually have a lot of things entered in, and like I said, it didn't take me that long. So I would keep going. Again, I'll repeat this one more time. I'm going to go to September 16th. Notice I'm keeping the date the same, so I don't forget. Click Save. All right, so I've basically gone through and I've done all of my assignments that have scores. I've gone ahead and I've switched their dates. If you want, you can also switch the dates of the ones that don't have scores so that it shows up in School Loop. Or if it's less work for you, just re-enter it into School Loop and then you don't have to switch the dates and then switch them back. Okay, so now if we go back over to School Loop, again, you don't see anything because we have to hit refresh. So when we hit refresh, boom, everything just populated. So again, there's a 5-minute lag. So if I was to do another one right now, if I was to, for example, change this one to September 24th, and then I were to save it, when I go to my gradebook, I'm not going to see it right away, even if I refresh. It might just not be there right now. It might take 5 minutes, but it will populate. So as you can see, the scores, the assignments have populated. So now, how do I get my grades to transfer over? All right, well, first of all, make sure that you're importing on something that actually has grades. So 1.4, if I look back here, there were no grades. So I'm not going to pick that one. I'm going to pick something else, such as the 1.2 WebAssign, which has grades. So if I go to 1.2, I click on it, I import from Google, you wait a second, there they are. Like I was saying before, there are some blank kids that I'm gonna have to manually transfer over. It has something to do with their ID numbers, is at least what I read. And then I'm gonna save and exit. You're just gonna go through and transfer all the items that you know already have grades by clicking on them, click import, save and exit. This one actually only seems to have one kid who's missing from this class period. It looks like the reason it had so many blanks here was this kid's grade wasn't in, and maybe this kid because they were transfers. Not sure. Anyways, if we go back, I'll do another one that has a grade. And you just kind of quickly go through all these and import all the ones that you know already have grades. Save and exit until all of these are all populated and filled up. Going back here, once you've transferred these, you can now go ahead and switch your date back. So let's come over here. This didn't happen September 14th, that happened August 14th. So this is where you go through and you just reverse the dates to be correct in Google Classroom. Once you've reversed all the dates, and again, it doesn't take very long, it will show the way that it's supposed to show and not as like a future assignment. You are not going to lose any of the grades or anything like that by doing this. It's just going to make it so the kids don't get confused and wonder why something they already completed is now being set with a due date in the future. Again, not September 16th, August 16th. So that's why we picked to keep the date the same so that we didn't confuse ourselves. So it takes about a minute to flip all the dates back, about 1 or 2 minutes to flip them to September dates, and then about a minute or 2 to flip them back. So that's not too bad in terms of the amount of time that it takes to get the assignments themselves imported. Whatever the date is, it actually doesn't matter if it aligns or not with the date that we have here. So you can see this is like still September. It will still import even if the date's a different date. So like here's a September one, but in here, it's back on August 24th. Doesn't matter. It'll still import. So I'll go ahead and click on it, import this, Ta-da! Now, when you're all done with this, remember that there's two things after you're done importing all your assignments. There's two things that you've got to fix with each individual assignment. And I shouldn't say there's always two. There's sometimes are two. So the two things that you got to fix are, if you have a quiz, it's going to be listed as an assignment. So I have to hit edit, and I have to change it from being listed as an assignment to being listed as a quiz or a test score. The other thing you need to fix is the date, because it still thinks it's September. So if this quiz occurred on August 24th, it's now going to say August 24th, and I also closed it on August 24th. So publish. So that's the two things that you're going to have to do on these. This says assignment, but it actually was an assignment. So the only thing I really need to fix is the date. So I click on it and I do the correct date that it was assigned on. So this was assigned to be due on the 23rd. Done. So save and exit. That's how you are going to populate. And as you can see, I've already got my Algebra 2 one all filled, except for the assignments that I did not have graded already in Google Classroom.